Hey everybody, this is Poiab from Your Own Pathway. Welcome to another episode of Owning It. I am again Poiab from Your Own Pathway. I'm a trained psychotherapist, empowerment life coach, and a business consultant, or more exactly, I should say, organizational leadership consultant. So let's get right to it. I was just kind of looking outside as I see some, I think, geese flying. So I'm a little distracted as my window is right there. So I am back now. So as I was saying, welcome to another episode from Your Own Pathway. And if anybody had the chance to watch last week episode, I talked about the consequences of parentific- parentification. My goodness, I cannot say that word today. So being parentified basically. And so if you have not had a chance to watch that episode, do not worry. I have a link to the episode um, in the description box here. And so I wanted to continue on with that too, as we are in the month of January, and as I am meeting my clients, a lot of them are reflecting on how the holidays went. And so a lot of it is reflecting, kind of thinking, what type of relationship do I want with my parents? Do I need to reinforce my boundaries, or what do I have to do, or what do I need to do to be at ease and be at peace if my relationship with my parents or one of my parents is not going as I wish for it or how I want it to be? And this is a very touchy topic. I'm also going to link another article that I read and got kind of like my inspiration from, and again from my clients. And so, as you see, the name of the episode today is When to Go No Contact with Your Parents. And there are articles saying, oh, it's a trend, or if you're on TikTok or like Instagram or YouTube, but especially TikTok, TikTok is back. So I've been filming this the week of inauguration week and Martin Luther King Day. Let's focus more on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So happy Martin Luther King Day. And there's a lot of things going on social media about this trend where millennials and not Jay-Z's, Gen Z's are going no contact with a parent or with their parents. And I really wanted to focus on this today because, as I mentioned, most of my clients are Gen Z's and millennials. And a lot of them were parentified. And again, watch the video on the consequences of being parentified and how that impacts you as an adult. And because of the parentification or lack of boundaries or enmeshment or whatever it is, a lot of these adults carry a lot of the childhood wounds that never really been healed, or they're healing now and they are realizing a lot of things about their parents. And so this episode is talking about situations when to go no contact with parents. And I actually wanted to focus on two models, not four, two models that I see and that I work with my clients on when they're making this consideration. But first of all, I think in order for us to consider when to go no contact, there are some things that I talk to my clients first about. And so here are things that I asked or I work with my clients on before they make the decision to go no contact. So when I work with my clients, anybody who knows me, anybody who follows me knows that I always emphasize and talk about the importance of boundaries. So, questions and things to consider before going no contact with a parent or parents. Have you tried setting boundaries with your parents or parent? So a lot of my clients are BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, person of color, and so when you identify as a BIPOC, a lot of us, including me, I come from a culture that is very, it's all about communal. It doesn't really emphasize on being an individual, and so in a lot of BIPOC cultures and family, sometimes boundaries are not really respected, or most people don't know what boundaries are because having boundaries is like considered, oh, it's a white thing. So we're not white people. So we don't have boundaries. That is not true. Boundaries is for everybody. I'll say that again. Boundaries is for everybody. It is not just for white people. So, first question is, have you considered setting boundaries? And if you have, were they respected or were they ignored? And at times, you have to reinforce those boundaries. But at some point, if you set those boundaries, you have to ask yourself, how often and how far will I go in reinserting my boundaries? At some point, if you feel like, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to keep setting boundaries and reinforcing them. They should know. They are aware that these are my boundaries. If they don't respect it, that is a consideration to consider. Second thing is, what impact does maintaining contact have on your mental and emotional health? That is so important. It's your emotional, it's your mental, it's your physical, it's your spiritual health. All of those are a consideration to consider when you think about maintaining a relationship with that parent or parents. Third thing to consider is, are you staying in the relationship out of guilt, obligation, or fear or judgment? I would have to say this is probably one of the hardest ones for people. Again, especially, we always hear people say, but they're your mom, they're your dad, they're your parents. You can't do that. They gave birth to you. You can't just do that. You're so ungrateful, or they didn't know better. They don't know what they're supposed to do, and now you're punishing them. You know what? I get it. I get that we all were, a lot of us were born in less ideal circumstances or situations. And yet again, as I emphasize this, you may not be able to control how you grew up, but you can definitely be and do better as an adult. And if you are an adult who's choosing not to do or be better, then that is on you. And you, as an adult children, you're not responsible for your parent to try to make them be better. They have to want to be and do better. And fourth is, do you have a support system in place to help navigate this decision? And so, do you have friends? Do you have families? Are you seeking professional help to help you with this decision? And again, not all friends and family are going to understand and support you. Sometimes they may even try to say guilt or shame you into staying into that relationship due to obligation. And so, definitely seek professional support before making this decision. And when that relationship with the parent consistently brings you harm and prevents you from healing, or keeps you in toxic or generational trauma, the no contact may be necessary. It may be your saving grace. And the decision that you decide to make about this is not a punishment, but about prioritizing your safety, your mental health, your growth, your well being. And sometimes it's even protecting our own children from our parents. And so those are things to consider before going no contact. So, I hope that gives a better understanding of things to consider before going no contact. But let's say that you tried all of that and it's not working for you, and you really are thinking about this. And so I want to talk about two models that, again, I see people go through, or that I work with my clients on. So anybody who is a therapist or who is familiar with this, we talk about like the changes of model. And I also want to talk about the grief and loss model. And so those two models go hand in hand, coincide when someone decides that, you know what, I am going to go no contact with parents. And so when a parent has a child that goes no contact with them, to the parent, it often seems like, oh, I was blindsided, or this happened so quick. I didn't know this was going to happen. Why didn't you warn me? And so for any parent who says that, on the other side of me working with the adult child, I assure you, they went through all the steps. They did their considerations, they did their thinking, and it was not an easy choice for them to come to this conclusion. They have worked through all of this, they have worked through their grief, they have worked through their loss for them to finally come to this decision. And so I hope you all can see this, but I have my chances of change model and my grief of no contact model. And so the first step for the stages of change model when somebody is considering going on contact is the pre-contemplation stage. I hope you guys can see that. If not, I am reading it off. So the pre-contemplation stage of change is the client or the person who I'm working with or an individual who is going through this may not recognize the need to go no contact or is in denial about the impact of the relationship. And so what we often see is that they are justifying their parents' behavior. They are feeling guilt or shame for considering no contact. And they may be minimizing or ignoring the harm caused by the parents. And so going down here, the grief of going no contact is the anger, is they may be feeling frustrated, resentful, and angry as a family for causing the need to go no contact. So that's the first stage. And so when clients come to me working and they're very ambivalent about it, they're like, no, it's okay. That's how they were raised, they didn't know better. They're just working with what they were giving, and I forgive them. I understand. And a lot of times we give a lot of compassion to our parents because usually there is a generational trauma. It's like my mom or my dad grew up in less ideal circumstances. They had a lot of trauma that they had to deal with. And that justifies their behavior. Yes, not the justifying, but yes, even though there is a lot of trauma, they went through a lot of shit, it does not give them the right to continue on treating you like shit or treating you with unresolved issues that they did not have. And again, they may not realize that they have those feelings towards you, and yet you recognize it. And because you recognize it, you do not have to tolerate or accept bad behavior because your parent or parents did not work on themselves. And so that's a pre contemplation stage. And so the next stage that I see people um, when they're considering going no contact is the contemplation stage. And during the contemplation stage, the client or the person is aware of, the challenges, the issues, the problems, and maybe considering change, but they're not ready. They're still very ambivalent, saying, maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I'm not giving them enough credit. Maybe I'm not giving them the compassion. Maybe I need to be better like understanding of their situation. And so during the stage, the person or the client is weighing the pros and the cons of the decision of considering going on contact, and they're also reflecting on how the relationship affects their mental health. And so that's one of the big things that we talk about in therapy. It's like, okay, how would it be like if you had your boundaries with your parents, or if they respected you or respected that boundaries that you set? How would that be? And how would that impact your mental health? Or sometimes I would even ask, how would it feel if they were not part of your life? And so the responses vary. Of course, there's always a sadness, there's that guilt, there's that shame. And yet, after they get through those, they feel a sense of relief. Like, I would actually be really relieved. I will love it. I won't be disturbed. I'll have peace. I won't have to worry about them. I won't have to worry about them given their thoughts and opinions about how I should live my life or be shamed about the decisions that I make. And so, even though there's a lot of those negative feelings, there's also the positive and especially the relief. And we also explored the potential consequences, again, like the guilt or the shame and the judgment from society and from everybody else who says, how can you even do that? They gave birth to you, they gave you life, they gave you food, they gave you shelter. It's like, yeah, that's the basic things that they should give me. What about love? What about compassion? What about being a parent? What about, not choosing or always siding with my brother because I was a girl, and so my value as a girl was not as worth as being a boy. And so there's a lot of contemplation during that. The contemplation. These are the questions that come up during contemplation and feelings and thoughts and reflections that during the stage of contemplation. And so during the grief of going on contact, we talked about the anger, and then there's the bargaining where they try to negotiate terms or conditions in their mind to maintain the relationship, even if it's not realistic. It's like, I can do this, I can do that, maybe I just, need to be a better understanding. Maybe my boundaries are too much, and maybe I'm being too tough on my parents. Maybe I'm just not understanding. I need to be a better son or a better daughter or a better child, or, to maintain this relationship. And so the grief of going on contact, anger is the first, second is bargaining. All right, how we all doing here? And so the third model, or the third stage, I should say, the third stage of going on contact with a parent is, after we do the pre-contemplation, the contemplation, we talk about all of this, we really weigh about what does it mean to have your parent or parents in your life, what does it mean to not have them in your life, how does that feel, are you at peace, do you feel guilt, do you have shame? We explore all the feelings, and then, if the client is like, nothing has changed. I have reinforced my boundaries. They continue to disrespect me. They continue to dismiss my feelings. They don't want to be or do better, even though I said, I will maintain a relationship with you if XYZ is done and they don't follow through. The next stage that we explore is the preparation stage. And this is a stage where the client or the individual decides to take steps towards going no contact and begins planning. And again, this is like setting boundaries to test the parents' responses. This may include seeking therapy or support groups for guidance. This can also include planning on how to communicate the decision. Sometimes people write letters, they have a phone conversation, or sometimes they kind of like slowly, silently withdraw and see how the parents respond to this. Okay, and so the preparation stage. So if you are setting boundaries, how did that go with the parent or the parent? Did they respect you? Did they try to shame you? Did they try to guilt you even more? Did they call you names? Did they, do something to make you feel bad for setting those boundaries? And are you talking to a therapist about this? And what's the decision? And again, a good therapist will never shame and judge you for wanting to consider going no contact. Their job is to help you decide what is best for you. Their job is not to tell you what to do. A lot of people have a misconception about what therapist's role is. Our role is never ever to tell you what to do. Our role is to help you decide what is best for you to do. And so I think the hardest part is the the judgments that you're going to get from other people when you are doing the preparation stage of considering going no contact. And I always say this: you're always going to be judged. You're always going to be judged by other people. who do not understand and who accept bad behavior. Just because other people accept bad behavior from from their parents, it doesn't mean that you have to accept this. And I understand that a lot of it is cultural, religious, societal pressure saying parents know best, they know everything, you need to respect your elders. I don't agree with that. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, how could you say that? No. Respect is given both ways. And if a parent cannot respect their adult children, the adult children has every right to say sayonara. So, so that's the preparation stage. And I think another thing to consider is one of the things that I talk with my clients about. It's like, okay, you are preparing for this. How much effort do you want to put in this relationship? Meaning, if one of your parents is not reaching out to you and is not putting in the effort to have the relationship with you and you want the relationship, are you willing to work for it? And that may often mean that you're going to be the one doing the outreach. You're going to be the one doing the contact. You're going to be the one planning everything. And so you're going to be the one working harder than the parent if you decide that you want to maintain a relationship with the parent, even though that parent may not be putting as much effort into you. So, consider the reciprocation and how hard do you want to work in having a relationship with that parent. So, something to consider. Okay, so the next step after the preparation is the action. And this is a stage where the client or the individual actively initiates no contact. And so this often involves communicating the decision to the parents or withdrawing contact without direct explanation. This can also mean blocking or limiting communication. This could be like blocking them from your phone, blocking their phone number, blocking all social media, blocking them from Facebook, with TikTok, whatever. It seems like with parents, Facebook is a number one place to block parents from. It's like, nope, you don't have access to me on Facebook anymore because, most parents use Facebook out of all the social media accounts. It seems, I don't want to speak for everybody, but that seems to be the thing with the people that I work with. And then this may mean also redirecting their time and energy to self care and other healthier relationships, like creating their own family, focusing on their friends, focusing on their loved ones that they got to choose to be part of their life. This could be a long term partner, this could be, a spouse, this could be their children, their pets. A lot of millennials and Gen Zs are not getting married or having children. And so they're like, you know what? I am going to invest all this time and energy into my pets, into myself. I am going to start doing all the things that I want. I'm going to heal my inner child by doing all the things that I did not get as a child. And I am going to buy and do all the things that I wanted to as a child that I was not able to have or given by my parent. And so that's the action part where they are actively initiating the no contact or withdrawing from the parent or parents. And so in the grief of going no contact, there is sadness in this. It's like experiencing the grief or the loss of the family relationship, even though it may have been toxic, it may have been unhealthy. Even if, I think a lot of times, a lot of children, adult children, keep giving their parents chance after chance after chance, hoping that, what, they will change. They will change. They are going to change. And realizing that, what, they're never going to change. They're never going to change. I can do all of this. I can give them all that. And I will never be enough. I will never be enough for them, even though I know that I did everything in my power to try to be that child that they wanted or needed or to love. I will never be enough. And even though they realize that, there's still sadness in coming to that realization. So that's hard. And unfortunately, again, I see a lot of this in the clients that I work with. And that's why it's so important to surround yourself with people you love, who support you, and also have the professional help to help you process the emotions that you are going through during this hard time in your life. So I hope you guys can see this. If not, oh, I accidentally pressed something. Okay. And so the next stage for change is maintenance. And this is the stage in which the client or the individual works to sustain the no context despite the emotional and external challenges. And this includes like the feelings of guilt, grief, or doubt. It's like, did I do the right thing? Maybe I was too rash. Maybe I should have given it more time. Maybe. There's always that maybe. And they may be handling attempts by others, like family members, extended family members, or siblings to mediate or to reconcile. Maybe a family member or uncle or aunt is giving them a call and say, your mom or dad really misses you. You should really consider this. Like, how could you do this to them? They gave birth to you, blah, blah, blah. And so they're going to try to guilt you into accepting and reconsidering the no contact. And again, know yourself, work on yourself, be true to yourself. And if you are true and know yourself, other people's guilt, other people's shame will not get to you. So know yourself, believe in yourself, know that you are doing the right thing for yourself, because other people will try to project all the negativity onto you. Last thing is reinforcing the boundaries with extended families or family members or mutual connections. Again, people are always going to try to make you feel bad and to revoke or to make you feel bad about the final decision that you make. And I think in a lot of cultures, especially in BIPOC cultures, family is everything. And to have family means, oh, you're so blessed. You're so grateful. Like, you should be so grateful that you have family. Sometimes, unfortunately, our families are the ones that keep us stuck, are the ones that are so toxic that they keep us from moving forward and having that peace of mind. And don't let other people project their own insecurities, unhealed wounds, unhealed traumas to you, because you continue to work on your challenges, your problems, your issues, and creating a life that is healthy for you, your pets, or your children, or whoever you want to have in that life. And so that's the maintenance stage. And so in the grief of going no contact stage, there may be loneliness. You may be feeling isolated and you may miss the connection with family members, even if the relationship again was unhealthy. And yeah, it's okay to feel lonely. It's okay to be lonely. It's being lonely will likely be part of the grief of going no contact. Being lonely and being nostalgic and thinking about all the good things, or not even the good things, but maybe sometimes like the bad things, but just having family and realizing, you know what? They're no longer good for me. My family is no longer healthy and good for me. And so loneliness is part of the grief and loss of going with no contact. So all right. And so these two stages, you can have one or the other. The first one is relapse. And so during the stages of change of relapse, if there is a relapse, this is when the individual or the client resumes contact due to external pressure or, just nostalgia or unresolved emotions and unresolved grief. And so again, they may feel the need to rekindle the relationship with their parent or parents because of the guilt, because of cultural expectations, or family pressure. Um, and this may result in re engaging in the relationship and possibly facing old patterns of harm. And so it becomes this like vicious cycle. It just becomes this like cycle of like trauma. And it's like, as at one point, is this going to stop? And unfortunately, it's going to keep going until you the person or the individual decides, you know what, enough is enough. And again, you have to work through these emotions and being strong enough in who you are to follow through. And again, with the relapse, sometimes there's confusion, feeling unsure about the decision, and questioning if you're doing the right thing. And if you're feeling confused about the relationship of going on contact, more than likely you are going to relapse and say, you know what, all these, you gaslight yourself. That's what it is. Like, you gaslight yourself. You think, I'm too sensitive. I should just get over it. They're my parents. I should respect them. They know everything. And so the relapse and reconnecting and the confusion go hand in hand. And the last stage is termination. This means, you know what? The person or the client fully resolves to maintain no contact with their parent or parents. They no longer have that like internal conflict, and they accept the decision as permanent. They feel at peace and are no longer triggered by reminders of the relationship. And they are rebuilding a life free from the emotional burden of the parental relationship. And so they're like, you know what? I did the right thing. I feel so free. I get to be me. I'm emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially, everything better. I did the right thing for myself. I cut off toxic family members, parents from my life. It is the best thing I could have done. Why did I do this sooner? And so some people who go no contact was like, I could have done this sooner. I allowed other people's thoughts and shame and societal pressure to for me to accept this bad behavior for so long because they are a parent, and I was told I have to accept it because they're my parents. And you came to the conclusion, or the client came to the conclusion, or individuals like, F this shit. I'm not going to do this anymore. F that. I am living my best life. And if this is you, kudos to you. Good for you. And so that the termination is like, you know what? Nope. I no longer have contact with this person, and I'm protecting myself, and I'm protecting my children and other people who are important to me to ensure that they do not ever feel like how I felt as a child and as an adult. And so the last stage of the grief of going on contact is acceptance, is when you reach a point where you understand the decision and are comfortable with the choice to maintain no contact. And so again, these are the two models that I see with my clients when I help them decide if they feel that going no contact with the parent or parents is the best decision for them. And again, going no contact is usually not the first decision. When people decide to do that, they have thought long, long and hard of this. Usually, it's an accumulation of events that occur when the client is really, really considering, do I need to go no contact? And I talked about again the parentification, a child being parentified, and how being parentified continues on into adulthood, and how when it's not resolved, when the client does not go to therapy, or it's not addressed, these things impact you as an adult. And again, you are not responsible for your parents. I know a lot of people feel that they need to be responsible for their parents. Your parents have to be responsible for themselves. And if they want to heal, they will heal. If they don't, you know what? You do not have to heal them. You do not have to heal them. You do not have to make excuses for them. I think so much of our parents, and this is me being true and honest and saying this too, some of us give a lot of excuses for our parents and their bad behavior. And I hear this all the time. Well, you got to understand they grew up XYZ. Well, you got to understand they have abandonment issues. Or you got to understand they didn't get love. Or you got to understand this. It's like, you know what? I understand all of that. I really do. And again, that does not justify their current bad, toxic behavior towards you. So, going on contact again is no easy decision. And for those whose children may have gone no contact with you, or for anyone who has suffered from going no contact with a loved one, I know it's hurtful. I know it's hard. And I just want to say that if you are going no contact, or if you're a person who is a recipient of going no contact, I hope that you all seek the help and the support that is needed to help heal and help whatever it is that is unhealed for you. And um, again, is this a trend? Is going no contact a trend? um that was one of the topics in social media. Oh, it's a trend now to go no contact, or it's a trend that kids are so ungrateful, and so that's why they're going no contact, because they're a bunch of brats, or they're not getting what they want. And I assure you, it's not about that. It's definitely not about being a brat. It's not about being ungrateful. It's not about not getting what they want. It goes deeper than that. And if you are the person who are saying those things, I would really, 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 really highly recommend that you go talk to someone, a professional, who hopefully can help you with some self awareness. If you're someone who is saying those things, a lack of awareness is something that needs to be worked on, because I assure you, people who decide to do no contact, that was a decision that they went through, and they did their grieving, they did their grief and loss for them to finally decide to come to this decision. It was not an easy decision. It's often a heart-wrenching one. It's one felt with guilt, one felt with a lot of shame. And ultimately, they decide, I have to choose me. I have to choose my well being. I have to choose my peace. I have to choose what is best for me. And we're in 2025. A lot of people still think choosing yourself is selfish. That's the number one thing I hear. How dare you be selfish? You can't be selfish. If having your peace means being selfish, then be selfish. Choosing yourself means be selfish, be selfish. So for anyone who is considering this, um I hope that you watch this episode and get the help that you need, and do what it is that is best for you. I am going to include oh my god, the article about, from, I think it was like the New Yorker or New York Times, about going no contact with parents. And so I hope you enjoyed this episode. And this episode was to educate and to inform. And as I always say, your own pathway is not here to judge, to shame. It's here to educate and inform, and you decide to do what you want with this education and this information. And so thank you so much again. This is Poiab from Your Own Pathway. I hope to see you on my next episode, which is kind of a continuation on more about this, which I think is so important to talk about trauma. And so that will likely be my next episode. But stay tuned, and I hope to see you next time. And if you are new to my channel, please hit the subscribe button. And if you like this episode, please hit the like button. And so I'm so grateful for anyone. I'm so grateful for all of you, not anyone, but I'm so grateful for all of you for tuning in today. And I appreciate all of you, and take care. And I will see you all next time. Bye.